Welcome back, everybody. It's episode 34 of the Jader and Kyle Show. We are back, and we're ready for a fun episode tonight. As always, I'm joined by my special co-host, Jader. What's going on, man?
What's up, man? What's up? Uh, Fucking thrilled to be talking about this movie, dude. But before we, obviously, because I'm already jumping the gun, talking about this movie. How are you doing, man? How's work?
Dude, it's funny enough that we're doing this episode today because you'll probably hear some shots from me tonight. I'm sure we all have had experiences with this at one point. Horrible Bosses is a movie we're talking about tonight. We will get to that later, but it's nice to vent a little bit too, because I feel like we all feel what these guys feel at some point in our lives with a boss. And I can't wait to talk about this movie because it's something that's a movie that I've really appreciated for a long time now. So we're getting to it soon. But Jader, what's going on in your world, man?
Nothing much, man. Lots of personal shit that I, no offense, don't want to talk with anybody because it's just downer, and this is not a downer show. We're here. We're gonna, we're here on the up and coming, and high and all that shit. So not technically, but you know what I mean. This is PCP, man. We're not gonna be on any fucking downers here. But
No.
overall, man, just been working hard. I've been catching up on movies lately. Catching up on old TV shows, like just revisiting some shows that I love, just to kind of mellow in. Schmodown is about to kick off, so I'm excited about that. We have the award show tomorrow, and then we have the draft coming up the following week to see what team I end up in, if I end up in a team. But yeah, man, everything's been chill, man. Apartment's coming along. I don't know if you guys noticed that the background's a little different from previous episodes, but I moved into my own apartment. I was living with my best friend, which he housed me for a very long time, and very appreciative of him doing so after my split with my ex, and then back up on my feet, and here I am now. But
I mean, one thing too, like I want to address before we get started. For those of you who follow me on social media, I have announced that I have taken a step back from social media. I just decided that I don't really want to be on it anymore right now. Like personal stuff comes up all the time, and I feel like I want to, just do a cleanse every now and then. I want to create more time to do other things, and stepping off social media, which we sit there all the time with our phones in our hands, and we're on it constantly, and you forget how much time it takes when you're sitting on social media constantly. And I feel like I just need this every now and then, take a step back and appreciate other things that are around me. So that's what I'm doing, guys. But don't worry about me. I am okay. I'm out here. We're still doing the show, and this is gonna be a fun, positive show, guys. So I just wanted to address that before we get started with everything else we got going on here. But we do have a fun show tonight, and we always have a guest come on. And tonight we thought, we're covering Horrible Bosses.
We were talking, Kyle and I, and we're like, what the hell are we gonna do? We're gonna talk about Horrible Bosses. Do we have any guests lined up? And then I'm like, dude, I got the perfect guy. I'm like, and then he's like, who is it? I'm like, it's a surprise guest, which I actually put on the Facebook post, Instagram post, that we have a surprise guest tonight. So drum roll, please.
There we go. We have the boss himself. Here he is, Mr. Steve Faraci. Oh, shit, get out of here.
There you go. Look at that. Hey, this is a
What's up, fellas?
Show, sir. This
Steve,
is a
welcome
PG
back.
Yeah, right. Ain't nothing PG about this bad boy. What's up, fellas?
Steve, welcome to the show. Ever since there was the draft episode that we had you on last time, but
That I won.
we haven't had you on for a specific movie before. This is like your first movie episode that you've ever been on.
Yeah, no. I absolutely won that draft, 100%.
You were close. You were close.
Well, I was, and I'm the bigger man. I accepted the results of it. I'm gonna move on. I'm not gonna contest the results.
You lost. You got second place. Second place ain't bad out of 4, though.
It's not, but we did only have I think we only had 3 that. Who was the 4th? I was sandwiched.
I was doing the other one. I was the other one. That's my bad. But I don't know. Yeah. I come out so far undefeated on the draft so far. I've won both of them. So,
And
Kyle was shit talking, saying that he was going to win that draft. I mean, it's kind of like his prediction that the Cowboys were going to win the Super Bowl this year.
Oh. There you go, man.
I mean, I got my Lakers, I got my Dodgers in the
don't
same
be a pig.
year.
Don't
like,
be a
2020
pig.
wasn't the worst. But yeah, Cowboys keep pushing me into the dirt.
Yeah. Good. So
I mean, look at him wearing the New York Giants hat right there. I mean, we can't really talk much. All our teams suck.
This year, yes.
Yeah, this year. It was rough, man. It was rough. I mean, since we already clearly, started with F-bombs with Steve, I'm just want to take this moment to officially say, fuck the Eagles. Like,
yes.
Fuck the Eagles. You're an Eagles fan. I don't want you on this page. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, they suck, man. I haven't really I didn't watch a lot of football this season. And I did fantasy, but I didn't do fantasy. I signed up for 3 leagues and I did the first 2 weeks and I was that guy that whoever played, they're like, oh, it's just an easy win.
That's not like you at all. You've never done that in any fantasy leagues.
No. I only did that in basketball. Usually fantasy football, I'm on top of it. But the basketball league, I'm like, fuck that. But anyways, I actually sat down to see that Eagles and Redskins game because obviously I wanted to see the Giants go forward. Huh?
Who's the Redskins?
Fuck that shit.
No name.
Forever be the Redskins. But so that shit hurt, man. It hurt to watch that game, But yeah, fuck the Eagles. I feel more
good for the coach getting fired. He absolutely deserved it.
Fuck yeah.
Guys, people aren't here for sports, so let's move on to our big movie news today. I didn't expect to talk about any movie news today. We started off the show doing this mostly, and then we decided to start interviewing the guests instead. But Steve's been on the show before. You guys know who he is. He's the founder of Pop Culture Pros, yada, yada, yada. You guys know him. Yeah, flexing on him. But there is big news that happened today before we even came on the show, and that is that Chris Evans is supposedly back as Captain America in Marvel. It was reported by Deadline today by Justin Kroll, who is probably one of the best scoopers out there, if not the best. When he reports something, it is always true. He's never wrong about this stuff. So, Chris Evans, you putting that tweet out there saying this is news to me. We see through your lies.
With a little emoji.
Yeah. So he's back. Chris Evans is back as Captain America, which is, something that I think is going to cause a little bit of a debate between us. I don't know how we all feel about this, but he had a send-off in Avengers Endgame. I thought we were done with him as Captain America. I thought he was moving on and Anthony Mackie was taking the role and we're just, going into the next step of Marvel. And now he's back. And Steve, you're a guest here. I want to start with you on this. How do you feel about this news?
I'm fine with it. All these people out there are saying he had I had a nice send off. Just let him go and do better movies, as somebody said to me. But the guy was frozen for 70 plus years. He came back from that. Why can there not be a way for him to return again? So look, Marvel's not one to let us down, and they're not going to do it this time either.
Yeah, and I really feel like I never hate any news that has to do with movie stuff. Let's see the movie first before we judge anything that happens at this point. And Jader, that brings me to you here. Like, do you really get upset about this when this comes out, or are you more curious?
Absolutely not. I think he did have a proper send-off in Endgame. I thought, like, the way they handled his character, because everybody had the big debate. Obviously we knew somebody was going to die, or they were both going to die, and we're talking about, Iron Man's character and Cap's character. So everybody's money was on different things, or both, So them doing it the way they did was perfect for me. It was a perfect ending. Am I upset that he's going to return to the role that he was born to do? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Give me more Cap, And again, I've said this 1 in a million times, and I've said this on this show 1 in a million times. His series of movies, even though kind of cheating because they're not strictly like specific Captain America films,
Right.
His trilogies for me is the best one. So him, picking up the shield again, or the mantle, or what have you. Why would anybody be upset? It's not like, they did a piss poor job with the last couple of movies or whatever, and they were like, oh no, let it go, man. This is not you anymore. No, he hasn't done a bad job in any of the roles that he's done. Like any Captain America role every time that he's been Captain America, he gives it 1,000%. And Marvel, they're not. I don't feel like they're close to being done. They, like Steve said earlier, they haven't let us down. In 22 films. Maybe 2 or 3 that are like mediocre, not even terrible that I would never, not like a Wonder Woman or Suicide Squad status, like that I won't want to see again. There's very few that I'm like, ugh, like obviously, like, I've said it again on the show, Iron Man 2 and 3, being those for me for Marvel. Sorry, man. You already know the house.
I was waiting for Kyle to come back. It's well documented on the show.
But it's even like someone mentioned to me. I don't know if it was Anthony last week, and told me, "Would you rather see Thor in the Dark World again or Wonder Woman 1984?" I'd pick Thor. I'd honestly pick Thor over Wonder Woman. That's how much I did not like that movie. Now, am I probably just being too hard because I thought the film was going to be just, on some other level? Maybe, maybe I don't know why I feel like maybe I need to watch, knowing the shit that it is, watch Wonder Woman again and just be like, all right, like, it's shit, just try to give it another shot again. But again, we're not talking about Wonder Woman, we're talking about Cap. I think that Marvel themselves were probably like, that's a proper send-off. If they're asking him to come back, they probably have some badass way of bringing him back, and they just have so much more to tell that they need Cap's character. You get me? And we're getting into some crazy shit now. I know we weren't going to talk about WandaVision, but WandaVision is going to tie in to, I think, Doctor Strange, if I'm not mistaken, right? Because she's in Doctor Strange, Elizabeth Olsen's character, Scarlet Witch, right? And then I know that they're going to tie Doctor Strange directly to Spider-Man, which we're supposed to be getting December of this year. So, again, I feel like the world has gotten so big with Marvel that, they have to have something written already for them to be like, dude, read this, and if you don't like it, we'll do something else. But he probably read this and was like, fuck yeah, I'm in,
Right.
One of my favorite things about this entertainment industry is the bullshit that actors speak when they go out and do these promos. Because I saw a clip, Anthony Mackie's on the promo tour right now for a movie he's got coming out on Netflix, I guess this week. And there's an interview where they ask him about being next Captain America. And he's like, you know what? I was never officially called the next Captain America. If you watch the movie, Falcon never accepts the shield. And then someone takes that clip and puts the end of the movie, and it's him holding the shield on his arm saying, thank you. I won't let you down. Right? And it's like, I'm pretty sure that was an acceptance right there. He didn't just throw the shield or drop it right there. So it's one of those things where he knows what's going on. He's probably going to show up in Falcon and Winter Soldier, if we're being honest. If not, then it's going to be in one of these movies coming up. The reports are it's a role like Downey did in Iron Man 3 in Spider-Man Homecoming and in Civil War, where it's not his movie, but he's an important part of it. So I love Chris Evans as Captain America. It's weird. It's hard to have a character like that likable, because think about something like Superman. I know Superman's not liked by a lot of people because it just seems so pure, but Chris Evans makes it work for Captain America, a character that a lot of people don't like from the comics just because he's a Boy Scout, they say. I think people really, really latch on to what he did to that character, the journey he's gone throughout all these Marvel movies. And then the send-off was great. But if there's a great way to bring him back, I'm all for it. Let's see what happens before we criticize it. So that's how I feel about this news.
Yeah, absolutely. And so another little nugget of information that came out today, Anthony Mackie with a quote saying they actually wanted to cast an old dude to play Chris Evans, when he was old. So they brought in like 3 actors. They're like, this isn't how Chris will look when he's old. Like, he's going to be like George Clooney. So they didn't want the real deal old dudes, and they wanted him to age gracefully like a George Clooney. It's funny.
That's awesome, dude.
What you got there, Kyle?
I got a Mountain Dew.
Oh, it was green, so I was like, nice little Heineken there.
I got raspberry starfruit burst beer.
All right. Well,
Wicked Weed Brewing.
Wicked Weed, is that like infused with something? I'm
not judging. Oh, no. Have you had those beers? They're fucking great.
Listen, I just semi-panicked because I was out.
Oh yeah, holy shit!
But, I gotta back up. This is a special occasion. I get invited on the show because I'm a horrible boss. But
look at that,
Johnny Walker.
White Walker. The White Walker. I still have mine sealed. I haven't opened mine.
I busted it open for it was the very first show that we did on Pop Culture Pros.
Nice.
So, all right, guys. Tim's in the chat, guys.
Holy shit, it's the boss, baby.
The boss is back, and that brings us to our movie of the week, guys. And so when Jader, so behind the scenes stuff, we didn't really have a movie or a guest plan going into this week. And Jader's like, "What's a movie you've seen over 100 times?" And I said, "Horrible Bosses." And it was just the perfect transition into this film.
He's like, "Horrible Bosses." I'm like, perfect. On it.
Steve,
I got you.
Boom.
Give me a minute.
Yeah. Well, and that brings me to like the topic about this, which is we all have had a horrible boss, or maybe currently have one right now. Steve, I'm not referencing you right now. We all have a shit job every now and then, whether you have it right now or when you first started in the working industry.
Whatever you do, yeah.
Yeah, you all hate your bosses at some point, and that's what I kind of love about this film is they kind of live out our fantasies when we don't like our bosses. If they're shit bags, they're cokeheads or dirty whores, whatever it may be. You think about
that last one's not so bad, all right?
But I do have a story about that, which is funny enough. Spoke to me yesterday. So this is going to be a lot more discussing real life situations versus the movie and all that. So this is going to be a fun episode.
Well, basically, life might be easier if our bosses weren't around, and that's what they decide in this film. I'm sure we've all gone through it. Our bosses have screwed us over at some point, or done something that shouldn't have been done, or fired someone who should have been fired for the wrong reason, whatever it may be. Just I'll slide in subliminal details every now and then during this episode.
Oh no, I have a full blown story for you guys. Don't worry about that. Right. On top of the Coke story that I'm about to tell guys. So
I want to say up top before you jump into that, Jader. This movie has been one of my favorite movies for a long time now. I know people have its problems, and honestly, rewatching it, the whole Jennifer Aniston stuff, it's funny and it's entertaining, but it's hard to watch because
it's completely over the top, and that's part of the allure to this. This is one of those flicks that if I'm doing something on the site or if I'm just doing something, I put it on as background noise, and it will ultimately suck me right in, and the laptop goes to the side, and I'm watching again.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So when this movie first came out, I saw it opening night and just instantly fell in love. Funny enough, I got fired the very next day after watching this movie. A little behind the scenes. So I had a boss, right? Oh, this is just another story that I literally remember because this second. It's not even the stories that I'm going to tell. But I went to go see this movie. I used to work at a restaurant. I'm not going to say which one, but I used to work at a restaurant, and I was on call, right? And on call means you got to call the restaurant and be like, "Hey, do you need me to come in? Yes or no?" All right. So I call because I wanted to see the movie. So I call, and they had me on hold. No lie, 15 minutes, and I'm doing things around the house that I just have my phone on speaker, so I don't really care. But I'm like, "Oh, what the fuck?" Hang up, call again. Hey, no one's told me anything. What's going on? And it was already I don't remember the exact time, but let's say it's 4:00 that I had to show up. I called at 2:45. So then 3:00 I call back. 3:00 they keep me on hold for 20 minutes. Right now, the job wasn't too close. It wasn't far. It was like a 25-minute drive. Right. And I'm like, you know what, man? They obviously don't need me if they're not picking up the phone. Cause I know damn well I've been a boss too, where if someone's on call, I'll call them like in the morning. I'll be like, hey, I'm going to need you to come in today. So I remember they didn't pick up the call. I hung up the phone and I'm like, F this, I'm going to go see the movie tonight. So I went to go see the movie, laughed my ass off, fell completely in love with it. And that was that. Movie ended, discussed it with my friends, go to sleep, wake up the next day, show up to work, right? I was working 2 jobs at the time. So I went to have lunch at the restaurant because I would get 50% off. So when I show up to work, right, I show up and I order my food. They're supposed to give me the 50% off, and the girl comes back.
What did you eat? What were you eating?
I ate food. All right. I'm not telling you what I ate. Anywho, so whatever. We went. No. Honestly, I feel like if I see that guy, I'd probably punch him in the fucking face. But anyways, we went. We went. I mean, not we. We. I went. And the girl comes back and with like kind of like a scared to tell me face, like, and I'm like, what's wrong? And then she's like, you cannot get a discount. And I was like, you mean I can't get a discount? And then she's like, she's like, you don't work for us anymore. And I'm like, what?
What?
Exactly. So
hey, you were like Chris Evans. News to me.
Pretty much news to me, man. And then I'm like, who the hell's back there? And then they say the boss's name, which is the guy that was working that night. And then I call him over, and then I'm like, dude, what's going on? He's like, yeah, you don't work for us no more. He's like, you decide not to come to work, and then today you want free 50% food. He's like, you're fired. And I'm like, I showed him my phone. He goes, no, I don't want to see your phone. Like, I'm like, you guys didn't pick up the fucking phone. What the fuck do you want? Complete dickhead. And then, long story short, I got fired. I tried to talk to my boss, he was one of the assistant managers. Tried to talk to my main boss that I was cool with. Main boss, the other guy immediately put my paperwork and he put not rehirable. So he couldn't do anything about it because he's like, dude, he put you as not rehirable. I can't do anything about that. He's like, he submitted the paper like this. And then whatever. Long story short, that guy was a coked up guy, like completely coked up out of his mind. And he ended up getting fired for stealing an iPad from a customer. He took it home like an idiot. A customer left it behind. He took it home and I guess he didn't know that it had a tracker on it or like to find my iPad, and it was his house. They showed up with the cops and everything. He ended up getting fired. So fuck that guy. But yeah.
Fuck him.
That's part one of my 3-parter story, by the way, guys, if you guys want to jump in.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, Steve, have you ever been fired before? Do you have a story about that?
I don't have. I've been pretty lucky. I've had assholes before, and I've learned from it, and I've changed my style of management, so I would never appear to be like that. So
they won't kill you.
Right, or they won't attempt to kill me,
Yeah.
But no, I've never had that much of an asshole boss. I've had peers that have been asshole bosses before, and just dicks, and just for the sake of being a dick. And so and in that situation, kind of like your boy there, the main manager. It backfires in a way because then everybody comes to you about things.
Yeah.
So you're not the dick boss, but everybody comes to you about things because they don't want to go to the dick boss.
That's what would happen with me when I was the manager. I had a manager that would manage with fear, and I was the laid back, mellow. Hey, we're all adults. We'll get this. We'll get through this. But it ended up being where they were scared to tell her whenever there was an issue or a screw up, right? They would not want to go and tell her that because she would automatically be like, write-ups or go home or whatever. And so they would call me the fire extinguisher because I'd be like, hey, no, relax. We're going to figure this out. Yada, yada, yada.
Chill.
Yeah, pretty much. But it sucked because they would when they would screw up, I'm like, on my day off, they would call me. I'm like, well, I'm not in the store. Call, so-and-so. And they're like, no, she's going to fire me. And I'm like, she's not going to fire you, man. Just call her. It's her job, But whatever. That sucks. You know what's the worst kind of boss? The one that's not an asshole, right?
And then it sneaks up on you?
But no, not even sneaks up on you. It's not a dick, but it's just extremely lazy. The lazy boss for me is the worst kind of boss, Because
I've had that before.
I almost got fired because of a lazy boss, because me having his back, he would if he watches this show, he knows exactly what the fuck I'm talking about too.
This is the bad part about being famous, Jader.
It is what it is, man. It's no fucking secret. He got so comfortable being where he was at in the position he was in because he was making salary. Obviously, I would have to show up because I was on hourly. But he lived 5 minutes away from the store, if that. So he would, every time I would open the store all the time, and he'd schedule himself at, to close 1 o'clock or whatever, or 1:30, and he wouldn't show up until 6, and I couldn't leave until he was out. There was times where I had to leave 3 hours after my shift. Now the checks were nice, but I was obviously pissed because there were even times where I wouldn't eat lunch. Like I work and leave to eat dinner because I couldn't leave the store because I was the only manager, and that's store policy. You can't have the store alone, And he would have that, or he'd get a call from regional manager, and he's like, "Hey, I need to," and he would always tell me to say, "Dude, just say that I went to Starbucks or I'm in the bathroom. Call me and I'll show up right away." So it happened where the regional, I guess it wasn't me, and this is the one thing I wrote it out, right? I wrote it out, but it got to the point where I was getting pissed too. But who were even more upset, were the our associates, obviously. So they ended up snitching on him and told the regional, they're like, the only guy that's always there is this guy, and he's always covering for him, and I feel so bad for him because he feels like his job is on the line. I said nothing of this, right? There was one time where the regional literally sat across from where the store is, because it was in a mall, right? So he was like getting ice cream across the store, and he called to see if who was picking up. So he would call me, and he was there apparently like before the store even opened. So he saw that I opened the store. I was by myself, and then he's like, "Hey, I need to speak to so and so." And I'm like, "Oh, he's not here right now. He went to go, pick up the mail." And they're like, "Oh, it's funny, Jade." And they're like, "Jader, I've been outside for the last 45 minutes and I haven't seen him." And I'm like, "Oh man." They're like, "We're gonna go inside in a little bit and we're gonna have a chat." I'm like, "Great." Right?
Yeah, let's have a talk.
So yeah, pretty much. So that we hang up the phone. I text him right away and I'm like, "Hey man, try to cover for you. I just got burned." I'm like, "This is not gonna happen again." Is what I, tell him. So then the regional takes me to lunch, right? Or early breakfast or whatever. And he's just like, "You can't keep doing it." He goes, "You literally lied to me." He goes, "For someone that apparently is not here." He's like, "You know what I'm going to do now?" He's like, "I'm going to watch all the videos of every single shift that he's supposed to be working to see if he shows up on time." So they ended up giving him the boot. And the reason why I did it was kind of Jason Bateman's story. Was they promised
one of the first scenes.
They promised me no. They promised me my store, my own store, because I was an assistant manager. And they promised me my store. And then they're like, "Do this, do that. And, for sure, when the store opens up, we got you." And I'm like, "Oh, this is awesome." Right. I was even willing to go, to like Aventura to work and all that. Long story short, that ends up happening. He ends up getting the boot, meaning there's a position available. Right. And then they ended up getting someone that does not imagine if you sell wood and they got somebody that sold ice cream to take your position. That's literally what happened to me. Someone that knew nothing of the job ended up getting the promotion instead of me, and they wanted me to train them.
And you didn't get sick.
That's the worst part.
Yeah.
Go ahead and train this guy that you
train him. No, I quit on the conference call. I'm like, "I'm not training him." They're like, "What do you mean?" And then they're like, "Look," I quit in the middle of the conference call, and I was like, "It's not happening." I'm like, I'm not. I didn't even get an interview. I didn't even get like, "Hey, let's see if you're up to the task." Like they were just like, they went with somebody else.
Complete dicks. But that's two examples from the Bateman character in this movie. The 2 minutes that Kyle mentioned, he was watching the whole time. He knew. Oh, so you're saying you weren't 2 minutes late?
I'm a liar.
Security guard is. Let me fire the security guard. I may have been a minute late. So you're a liar.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing of him busting his ass for 8 years and the drinking. I'm a drinker. You all know I'm a drinker, right? I'm a whiskey guy. But the thought of him chugging that 5-shot drink at 8 a.m., it hurts me.
No, even and I haven't seen this movie it's been like 3 years, and I saw it tonight. And when he's chugging it, because I'm like, I don't think I can chug the whole thing, but he's like that. I was like, that'd probably be me at 8 a.m. Like when you're not, you get me. It was cringe, man.
You're not gonna have one. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. What are you doing?
asshole, bro. Yeah, man. Jesus Christ.
Joe, uses it against him later on.
That's a good thing.
He's like, when he's like, hey, we can attribute it to your alcohol problem.
Oh yes. Yeah. Oh my God, let me tell you, man. I know. Obviously, it's like a sin to talk about Kevin Spacey now, but he's just so good at these roles.
It's not.
When he plays like
it's not really.
Yeah.
Steve's been on this train at I think 3 months after
it's not.
Got into
look, listen to me. Look,
it's a House of Cards thing, I think, for him.
I love House of Cards, and by the way, all that creepy shit that he did afterwards, the YouTube videos, I love that shit too. I loved it, even after the fact.
Bravo!
I did. Bravo! Look, I would love for him to come back as that character. He killed that. Literally, he killed that show. But I look, I get what he did. It's fucked up. Obviously, shouldn't have happened. But that doesn't take away from his incredible performances over the years.
Actor and person.
Separate art from artist type thing. Yeah. Obviously, what he did was screwed up. I'm not condoning that. But I still laugh my ass off at what he says there. I still, all the flicks that he's been in, I still love them all.
I actually recently watched LA Confidential, probably about less than a month ago.
Great example.
And I'm like, fuck, he's so great in that movie, man. He's so good. Everybody in that movie is great, but he was so good in that movie. And I'm like, God damn it, Spacey. Why?
So I'll never forget. I'll never forget when he first got completely shunned out of Hollywood. The week it happened, and we got together as a website, and we're like, "All right, let's do top 10 Kevin Spacey movies."
We did. what do we call it? Like the death of Kevin Spacey?
Yeah, the funeral for his career.
Yes.
Oh my God, I'll never forget that. Kevin Spacey. We'll probably get to it in the categories, but every scene he's in this movie is so good. It's so electric. And that, you know what? We'll get to it when Jader gets back. I want to touch on one quick thing, though. I've never been fired before.
He's back.
There's been bosses I've had before where I think you're a great person. Like, I love working for you. There's no problems. And then suddenly, all out of nowhere, it's like, oh, shit, you're a dick. Like, this came out of nowhere. I did not see that. I thought you were cool. I thought we were cool with each other. Oh, and you're going to fire my friend for no reason at all?
This is what RD was talking about here. Sneaks up on you.
Yeah, it gets you. I think he was thinking something else, but and honestly, something else I want to touch on. Like, none of us are women. Women get it a lot worse in the workplace than men do. Like, women get abused by their bosses all the time, and we've never had to deal with that before too. So it's even worse for them at certain points. But guys, let's talk about this movie a little bit more. There's a lot of big names in this film. I never realized it back 10 years ago when I was 13 years old when this movie came out.
You're an asshole. You are an asshole.
Dude. Fuck you.
And I go back and watch this movie again. There's so many famous people, like from the original 3 to the 3 bosses. You throw in Jamie Foxx, and you look at the cameos that were in there, and we'll go down the list once we get the cameos. There's like so many big names that even some I didn't even realize until I started looking at the cast list today. There's a big one coming up.
Can I mention one that blows me away?
I know where you're going. I know exactly.
Okay.
It's a royal one.
She delivers. I mean, that's all I gotta say.
I think it's a royal choice you got there. I don't even know if that works.
But it's super funny show.
All right, guys, let's do this. Let's jump into the categories here. First category, as always, is best scene. There's so many. I want to hop in here because we kind of already touched on mine. Mine is the opening scene, the David Harkins, you're 2 minutes late scene. It sets up the entire film for what you're going to be in for the rest of it. When Jason Bateman's doing the voiceover, he's going in, he's like, I haven't had sex with anyone but myself in the last 6 months, but it's all going to be worth it because I'm going to get this new position or whatever it may be. And then he's 2 minutes late. And Kevin Spacey is that example of someone who's coming off as nice, but is just such a dick underneath. And oh my God, when he's like, I might have been a minute late, but according to the cameras, you're 2 minutes late. Well, maybe he's like, well, I guess I got to fire a longtime guy, Thomas. Yeah, security. Might have been 2 minutes late. Oh, so you're lying? it's great back and forth with Spacey and Bateman. And Bateman is one of my favorite comedic actors out there. Without him even having to like tell jokes or anything, it's just his demeanor that is funny. That deadpan, dry, serious, like, oh, what, like, fuck everything going on here. That's what works so well for him. So that's my favorite scene in this film, because then it doesn't get like the movie's just consistently funny after this from here on out. So that's my favorite. Jader, I'm going to throw it to you now. What's your favorite scene?
I like the scene where they're at Bobby's house, just because from the very beginning when we're thinking, yeah, man, no, with the coke. But even before that, even the slide by Charlie Day, and he can't make it, and he slams himself in the garage door, dude. That shit always makes me chuckle. And then obviously, the foosball table, he's like, dude, what are you? Just that whole interaction between them. And then Jason just going into the bathroom and just, with the toothbrush oh my God, that kills me every single time. And I love how that joke came back. I thought it was going to be one of those jokes that it was funny to look at. But then they're like, oh, they're going to go to Bobby's house. They're like, oh my God, I put a toothbrush on my ass. They're like, you lost it
in your ass.
So
DNA and all.
Yeah, dude. For me, it's one of those. That scene kills me, and then the way that he's like, I gotta take another shit. Like Jason Bateman needs to take another shit, and then Charlie Day just starts doing all the push-ups. Absolutely love that scene. Watching it, there were some things that not that I forgot, but I'm like, oh shit, yeah. Like once the scene started happening, I'm like, oh shit, yeah. But that scene for me, definitely a standout, man. So that's probably my favorite scene when they're at Bobby Pellet's house.
Steve, what do you got?
Well, Jader, you stole my scene. Obviously, that the Coke scene has to be my favorite. But just to expand on it a little bit, when he drops the Coke because he's wearing these fumbly type gloves, and you just know it's gonna happen, and it drops, it pops up, and they're like, tangy or whatever Bateman says. By the way, Bateman is one of my favorite actors, if not my favorite actor. He's got the wit. He's got the comedic timing. He's got range. It's just everything.
His writing, everything about Bateman.
Amazing.
Bateman is fantastic. Absolutely.
But so if it's not that scene, one of my other so many scenes to choose from in this one, but one of my other favorite scenes is one that was kind of mentioned down here in the comments by RD. When he comes back from the funerals, when Sudeikis comes back from the dad's funeral, he's like, Colin Farrell's like,
he's like, with no watch.
Where you been? Yeah, no watch. I was at your father's funeral. That's no excuse. All right, here's the first thing.
We're gonna trim the fat.
Trim the fat. I want you to fire the fat people. She's pregnant. What do you mean? And what did he call the Professor Xavier? Yeah, that him in a special chair. That freaks me out. It's super creepy.
And I love how again that joke came back with the fat joke, because he's like, she's pregnant. She's not pregnant. She was actually fucking fat.
Right, exactly. It came right back around.
It came right back around. That was so good, man.
Another scene I want to throw in there, it has to do with Spacey and Bateman too. It's after Bateman finds out he's not getting the job, and he confronts Spacey, and he's like, I missed the death of my Gam because you kept me over here for 8 hours, and I was on my way to the hospital, and she died on my way over there. And Spacey's like, I'm sorry, what? He's like, I'm sorry.
And he just busts out laughing.
I didn't
realize you called your grandma Gam.
No, but his laugh is so genuine, dude.
Yes.
He was like belly out laughing. It's so good. That scene is awesome too. Hell yeah.
I also want to throw in when they first meet Motherfucker Jones, because I think Jamie Foxx, we're probably going to talk about him quite a bit coming up. Jamie Foxx is electric in this. The whole negotiating for, I'm going to need 50 large. Well, we don't have that type of money here. Okay, now it's 5 large. Okay, we'll do the deal.
Such a weird negotiator.
We set this hamster up.
It's just out of control, and when Bateman is camping outside of at a Pellet's house, and he's like slumping down, and then his boss comes and shows up, and because they stole their phone and they left his phone at the other boss's house, and he's like, he's been cheating with my wife, and then he just shoots him, and Bateman's like, Harkin's here. He just shot Pellet. I don't know what the fuck's going on.
And then Charlie Day's like, wait, how's Pellet doing? He's like, still pretty dead, Dale.
And when he actually saves the dude's life,
so guys,
because of the peanut butter.
That's one of my favorites. He's like, what does he say? He goes, you saved my boss that we came to assassinate. He's like, when you put it that way, it didn't sound very good.
Well, and at first they're pissed because they thought he killed him.
In broad daylight in front of
then he gets pissed because he saved him.
and he goes, make up your mind, guys. What do you want me to do? No, and I love the scene where he's actually waiting, where he's the lookout, right? And he's that's not my name. Like,
yes,
kills me every freaking time. But I love also. After he saves him, he obviously fleds because they tell him to honk twice. He's flooding, he honks twice. Every time, bro.
He's honking the whole way out.
Before they go in, he's like, guys, I'm going to honk 6 times. They're like, no, we're not going to do 6 times. Just do 1. He's like, just 1 time. You're going to be running in and out of the house. People honk all the time. Or when they go up to the door right there, and Jason Bateman's like, look at this. And he throws the rock towards Sudeikis. And he's like, oh, I got you. And throws the rock at the door. Oh my
Jesus Christ, bro.
So many great moments. So let's move into best line, guys, because we're probably gonna get to a lot of great moments here. Jader, I'm gonna throw it to you first. What's your favorite line for us? Because there's so many quotable lines that I say to people all the time. So Jader, I want to start with you. What's yours?
You're gonna kill me.
You don't have one?
Of course I do. I'm gonna bend her over a barrel and show her the 50 states, man.
Yes,
and now the best.
Got to be everybody's.
And that's not even in the fucking movie, which is the best fucking. Oh no, it is in the movie. Yeah. That's right. Right. I'm sorry. I don't know why I keep thinking it's always in the ending, bro. But that is I have never heard anything so absurd but makes so much sense at the same fucking time, because it like blew my mind when I first heard it. I was like, what the fuck did he say? And then I'm like, it makes perfect sense. I'm like, yes. So like a fucking boss, bro. Love that shit.
I think there's another big one in here, but Steve, I want to throw it to you. What's your favorite quote?
I have 2. One is when he says, "Life is a marathon. Sometimes you got to throw some Band-Aids on your nipples."
You can't win a marathon before putting a few Band-Aids on your nipples.
Yes,
that was mine.
I love that one. There's a lot more, dude. There's so many.
There's a ton. It's such a quotable movie. The other
one
like
with and he goes Goodwill Hunting. And he goes, how about he says apples? That was like Goodwill Hunting.
Or here's another one I got is you don't put a playground next to a bar. That's entrapment.
Yes.
Yeah. No. Love that shit.
Which, by the way, that storyline, fantastic. That whole concept of it. Yeah, it was at night.
For sex offender, he was like, man, I was night. There was no kids. I was being.
The other quote that I love, that I just laugh at hysterically, is when his fiance comes in. And she's gonna do free dental work because she's now part of the family. She passes out and says, "If you don't fuck me, I'm gonna tell her that you fucked me." But then it's the next part where she shows him the pictures of what happened the first week, and he's like, "Rape. That's a rape. That's a rape. That's a rape."
One scene, and it's so like quickly, and it's Bateman's delivery, because probably like if it was I don't think it was on script. I feel like that this was probably probably improvised. I don't know. But when they're like, "Oh, you were fleeting a murder scene, this and that," and he goes, "I was drag racing," and then he goes, "You were drag racing in a Prius." He goes, "I don't win a lot." Like that delivery for me is so great. It's so great because I remember the first time I saw that shit. Another thing, I went to go see this movie without knowing what it was about. Like, I knew the synopsis, never saw a trailer, right? Mm-hmm. So I read it was Bateman. I saw the cast, and I was like, this has to be like some funny ass shit, So that scene, I didn't know it was on the trailer. They're like, "Oh, I don't want a lot," and they're like, "Dude, that was in the trailer." I'm like, "Man, that was funny as fuck, dude. That would have sold me alone,"
So RD just stole another one I was going to bring up was when we're learning about motherfucker's name and how he does it. He's like, "I went into my mother's room. And I
took listening.
I stuck them behind her. I took my fingers and I slipped them.
I don't want to hear anymore. I don't want to hear anymore.
right to her purse.
Or when they first learned that his name is Motherfucker, and Charlie is like, "Is that on your birth certificate?" Like, no. What's your real name? My name's Dean. Dean Jones, like the actor. Like, yeah, I can't walk around here with that Disney ass name. One more I want to name is when Pellet comes out of the bathroom after doing coke. And
when they find out what Motherfucker Jones went to jail for.
Oh my god!
He's like, have you seen Snow on Cedars? And he goes, what? And then he goes, this guy went to jail for an Ethan. He goes, so you know the movie.
I also love. I think Colin Farrell is like a star in this film. He's very overlooked because he dies so early on. But when he comes out of the bathroom after snorting coke, and his dad's like, "You're spending a lot of time in the bathroom lately. You doing okay?" He's like, "I didn't realize I had to tell you every time I had to go pee pee and poop poop." And he starts doing the karate stuff toward Jason Sudeikis. I'm a green belt motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, and he was in total control of the look of his character. He did that himself. They said, awesome. do what you want with it. We trust you.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I love the part. I love when he's spying on him, Bateman. He goes, how does he have so much energy? She goes, oh.
Yes. Oh my! What about the vacuum? When they're vacuuming up the cocaine and then he dumps it out? Probably should have emptied it out first. You know?
Yeah.
Shit.
Casting what ifs. I was surprised to find quite a bit for this movie. So Naomi Watts and Sarah Jessica Parker were both considered for the role of Julia.
God.
It wasn't Sarah.
Listen, Sarah Jessica Parker. I'm sorry.
Looks like my foot.
Okay, perfect. Yes, horse face, like a pan. She's got like a Kramer face from Seinfeld. I can't do it.
Only looked hot in Hocus Pocus to me. That's it. That's the one movie.
We're doing this again. We're going back to Hocus Pocus, huh?
Yeah. Hey, that's a fucking national treasure, you motherfucker. Love that movie. All right.
I got a couple more in here, guys. Let me get rid of some of the ones that we're probably not going to talk about too much. So Warren Sapp and Michael Strand both auditioned for parts. I have no idea what they would have been for. Probably I'm thinking for Motherfucker Jones. Maybe. But
because I read what you're reading off, and they didn't mention specifically, but I was thinking maybe even just a couple of guys, maybe the bartender at that bar, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, your heart ought to be in the wrong place in a couple minutes.
With the bat in his hand.
We have Frank Oz, Ann Fletcher, and Brett Ratner were all offered to direct. Thank God we didn't have Brett Ratner, especially.
Brett Ratner, wasn't he an EP on the film? Because I saw his name, I was like, really?
I think he was.
I think he was an EP or something like that.
You sounded so disappointed right there, Kyle. I think.
Nah, and we don't need him. Ashton Kutcher was attached to play Dale at one point, and honestly, after thinking about it, he could have done it. But Charlie Day is perfect for this.
Yeah, he was great on that.
He's perfect.
He was great.
He's perfect.
I'm glad Kutcher didn't stick around. Vince Vaughn, Owen Wilson, Matthew McConaughey, Dax Shepard, and Paul Rudd were all rumored at one point for roles. They didn't specify which ones. I think people like Paul Rudd or Vince Vaughn could have worked in this pretty good.
And of course, you would think Paul Rudd would work in anything.
Paul Rudd could do whatever he wants to do.
Do no wrong.
But the best one the best one is Tom Cruise, Philip Seymour Hoffman, and Jeff Bridges were all offered the role of Harkin that ultimately went to Kevin Spacey.
Holy shit! I think after Cruise, maybe he probably got that shit right after Tropic Thunder.
Yes,
for sure.
I think Hoffman would have been incredible as a dickhead boss, but he also has that demeanor about him where he's always going to be serious. Like Tom Cruise being like that is great. Jeff Bridges, I can't see that at all. Jeff Bridges is just too nice and likable.
You know what? I could Tom Cruise I can see in the movie, but not as Harkin. I could see him as Pellet, as a son.
Well, yeah. Well, imagine what that makeup he did in Tropic Thunder.
That's exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He could have done that. But Kevin Spacey he's able to go from funny to unlikable so quickly back and forth that there's no one else that could have played Harkin to me at this moment. So
that's real life also. He went from likable to very quick.
All right, let's move on. The Mahershala Ali.
Nobody drinks Mountain Dew anymore.
What do you mean nobody? I do it on camera right now. It's recorded.
It's not a thing.
The Mahershala Ali Award for Best Sharpshooter, the character who does the most in the least amount of time. I think there's a lot of choices for this. Steve, we're going to start with you in this one. Who's your choice for Best Sharpshooter?
In the least amount of time, for me, Meghan Markle.
No.
That's it.
I'll go if you want. While you think about it. I could never say his fucking name, so I need you guys.
I can't either. That's why I didn't go there.
All right,
Mr. Fantastic.
This is Mr. Fantastic, man. Ian Grufford. I don't know his name.
Guys, I think we're confusing Sharpshooter for cameo. Like I think
you're right. Absolutely.
All right, let's do cameo then. All right, best cameo. The Bill Murray word for best cameo.
I feel like we just got scolded.
Yeah, we did.
All right.
Holy shit.
We'll come back to Mahershala Ali, and I'll do that one first so you guys can understand what that category is about. Episode 34.
Wow.
Bill Murray word for best cameo. Let's do that. Guys, I think that is true for what you guys had to say was Meghan Markle's in this film. That's like the ultimate cameo at this point is what is she, like a princess or she's a royal duchess? I don't even know how.
They're not anymore. They renounced their royalty ship, whatever the fuck it's called, and then they moved to Canada. Didn't they?
Yeah, they're like Canadians now, dude. They're not royalty no more.
Why do Americans care so much about British royalty? I don't get it. We don't live there. It's just
put me on the right category.
Not in the least.
I didn't even know that they had renounced it until maybe like a month ago, and I was like, "Oh, really? That happened?" I had no. Idea.
Wait, but the reason I know is because it was a goddamn pandemic, and nobody was going anywhere, and that's when it happened. So
when they got married, it was nationally televised. Like people had to see the wedding.
All of it is
like why?
The baby. You got to see the baby. All this stuff. You know,
we don't live there. It doesn't matter to us.
Princess Diana. I mean, rest in peace. But it was
all
over the news.
You're absolutely right, because my family, like the women in my family, like saw the wedding, saw like everything, like woke up in the middle of the morning to see that shit. I'm like, it doesn't concern us. Like we're not British, and we're never gonna meet these people. Like, what are you talking
about? Just on the chance that I might meet Meghan Markle, I'm gonna speak very nicely.
Well, no, she's closer now.
And it's funny. It's funny too that her role in this movie is just the FedEx delivery person.
Girl.
Yeah, and Jason Bateman, or not Jason Bateman, Jason Sudeikis is like, "What is this? A hidden camera show? Like, am I going to get punked right now?" And
super dad joke.
It could really work now because, of course, she would be undercover in one of those undercover shows, like, and just surprise someone like Jason Sudeikis. So I think that really works.
I like the joke he did on Julie Bowen more, where he's like, this guy didn't tell me that he was married to, that Harkin was married to a model. And then she's like, I'm not a model. He goes, when'd you quit? Like, Rob, like, ooh, that was slick.
Like that?
That was slick. So, but yeah, I like that one more than the
Sudeikis is really funny in this. Like when the bartender goes walking by while they're at the bar, and she just stares at him. He's like, "I'm gonna go see that girl about her vagina."
Which, by the way, that's another scene all in itself. The old buddy from high school or whatever.
So that's what I was gonna mention about cameo. So those are the two names I have. I have Mr. Fantastic and PJ Byrne, because he was so great in that, man. He's like the Three Musketeers. I put you around right behind my knee, and he goes, "Oh my god, dude! That shit was so fucking funny, man."
Hey, Kyle, you got a drinking buddy in Tim, and obviously you need to try that watermelon flavor.
Tim knows what he's talking about. Tim's a real professional, and he gets all the credit on this show. Cheers to Tim, guys, because Tim's the real MVP. I also want to mention, like you said, Ian Grufford, whatever his name is, Mr. Fantastic. He's always going to be known as. That scene's really funny when they realize what's going on here. And he's like, I was in the men seeking men's section, and I do wet work. And Jason Sudeikis goes and tries to think, you're a fucking idiot.
Well, we're men looking for a man.
No, man. And I like to freak out, and then he's like, I'll take care of it. And then he like puts the money on the floor, and he's then talking about the watermelon flavor, apparently. Look at that, man. I for one still drink Mountain Dew.
Just when I've never been a Mountain Dew guy. I've always just been a Pepsi guy.
I love that shit, dude. I love Mountain Dew.
Here's an answer to your question of why we are interested in the Brits.
But why? Like, look at that. What do they do?
And don't crush my dream and say I'm never meeting this person. You never know.
No, look what Tim said right after that. The British roles to women and gay people is like MCU to straight men. That makes sense. So I get it now. I get it.
Oh, that's a solid
great
point,
analogy.
Timmy.
That's a great analogy, sir. Thank you very much. Olivia Wilde was all about it until she left him for Harry Styles. Now I think is who she's with, because she's not with Jason Sudeikis, however the fuck you say his name. She's not with him no more. So. That's gonna be my downfall in this throwdown, just pronunciation.
And then go to the judges. Do we accept that?
Yeah. Like, I don't know about that, man. He fucking killed that shit. Anyway, so yeah, man. So PJ Byrne and Mr. Fantastic for me are hands down the best part. Not the best part of this film. The cameo. But that wetwork
hands down, no pun intended.
No, it really is. No, and the part where he's actually taking a leak and they're leaving the money, he goes, he would have drenched us. Like,
or no, Jason Bateman's like, you hear that? That was about to be all over us.
Yes.
So also I want to mention that Donald Sutherland, he's really in and out of this film completely. Yeah. He shows up, you can be like a great man, and just dies on the spot. But let's get back to Mahershala Ali Award for Best Sharpshooter. Guys, this is where we need to talk about either Jamie Foxx or Colin Farrell.
That's what I have. I have Jamie Foxx.
I want to go.
I take Jamie Foxx over.
Yeah. I go Colin Farrell. I think he is just on another level in this film. And then hearing, like, you already stepped in my interesting details section, Steve, talking about how he had such a massive influence on his character in this. Colin Farrell is here to play. That scene where when you guys talked about it, when he wants him to trim the fat there, either you fire the cripple or you fire the fatty, or I fire all three of you. Either one of you loses his job or all three of you. And he's so good, and then doing the kung fu in his house. It's just, I think Colin Farrell was having the time of his life in this. But also that brings us to Jamie Foxx, Motherfucker Jones. I don't know who created that name, but it's perfect. The way Jamie Foxx delivers it, I think it's just, he's someone that you're always looking forward to seeing whenever he pops up. His negotiating tactics.
It's so funny.
So that's what I was saying. The negotiation tactics for me is it's so awesome. And I love the part when they actually, get the money to him, because he's like, oh, do you want it in a duffel bag? And he's like, put it in a briefcase. And they bring the briefcase, and when they open the briefcase, it's literally like, it's not what you see in any other movie where it's just like a bunch of bills. It's like it's a stack like this big. And then he goes,
but that
is all there.
That's what Charlie Day is good at, those little mumble lines. And he says, we really didn't even need the briefcase. It's such a tiny little stack. But that I really think he shines with those under the radar quick hit comments.
No, absolutely, no. He's so good at that. But we already talked about the first one, obviously, when he was going from 30 large and then he goes to $5,000. They're like, all right, yeah, we can do it. When they come back for the advice, right? And then he's like, 5,000. They're like, no, that is a big waste of money. And then he goes, all right, pay for my drinks. Just pay for my drinks. He's like, all right, we can do
that. He's talking about, I'm going to be your murder consultant. And then he's like, you kill each other's bosses. And they come up with the whole thing. Oh, like strangers on a train. He's like, right, $5,000 worth of advice, right?
Worth of advice right there. He's like,
no, not really.
and then they go into the whole, what did you do when you murdered? He goes, I never murdered somebody. And then he's like, you said you went in there for some like serious shit or some shit. He's like, went to the movie theater with bootleg cameras. Like, you went in for video piracy? He goes, for snow on theaters? And he goes, what the hell is that? And he goes, this guy went to jail for an Ethan Hawke movie. And he goes,
and they're like, well, you don't reach for a gun when you're negotiating. He's like, you think a black man just reaching his jacket, he's reaching for a gun. And then at the end, when he's taping Jennifer Aniston, he just pops up. They find a nice little role. They tie up every loose end in this film. That's what I really like about it too. So let's move on to the Gary Oldman Everyone Award for Best Overacting. I think this is pretty obvious. I think we know yes, it's Charlie Day.
Yeah,
Charlie Day is overacting like crazy, but that's him. That's Charlie.
But it's like that in every single movie. Everything that he does, it's always Sunny. He's a complete overactor, but it works. It's just so great. It's just the way that how he is, which is crazy because I heard that he was on Hot Ones and he was completely like chill.
Love that show.
So I love that show. I love that one. But I heard he was completely chill. He wasn't like his energetic self, which is weird for me because
he was probably scared. They're all scared to go on the show. Shaq, he was petrified.
Yeah.
Have you seen Scarlett Johansson?
Like a G. She takes it like
no. Scarlett Johansson at some point. Who took that as a G?
Natalie Portman took it like a G.
Natalie Portman and what's this guy? What's this girl's name? Dad's a singer. I can't think of the goddamn name right now. American Woman.
Zoe Kravitz.
Yes. She was there, and she didn't make any faces. She was like, "Oh, this is good. This is tangy." But no, I haven't tried any. But I did start looking up, because I want to buy that one that the one that's super dark, comes in like the shorter bottle.
Oh, the fucking bomb.
The bomb. I want to try it. Yeah. I want to try it.
That's the one that everyone freaks out about.
Here's the deal.
Had it, and he's like, it's literally like licking metal, but it burns your fucking mouth.
That's perfect. Like, that. We need to do that. I will send a bottle to each of you, and we will do it on this show.
Oh boy! All right.
How about I'll do the final dab? That's the one I want to try.
I do want to try. That's the one that they make in house.
Yeah, the in-house, the hottest one. That's the one I want to try. The hottest dab.
Shaq was great.
This is the thing about me with hot sauce. I like hot sauce a lot. I can't do if it's just to burn you and has no taste, I can't stand that shit. I like something that's gonna give me that's flavorful. You get me? So that's what they tell me. My cousin's literally, he's like, yo, it's like if you grab a piece of metal and you just lick it. He goes, it tastes like shit. The bomb does not taste like shit. He goes, it tastes like shit. He's like, the final dab, that one tastes good. He's tried like 3 of them, he said. I tried a couple that they've had from the beginning stages, like the first 6. I've had a couple of those. But like after that, I haven't had anything really like crazy hot. And I want to try the last dab so bad. So if you guys are up for the challenge, well, I'll look for it on the show. I'm down.
I'll do the entire challenge if we can get our hands on all the bottles. Yeah. But back to Day. I mean, the overacting isn't that annoying, pain in the ass overacting. Mm-mm. And it's funny. Every single time you guys do this category, I always think of Jim Carrey and Liar Liar. If you've never seen the outtakes afterwards,
the overactor,
over at Jezebel overactor, and he just busts out laughing. He's done. He's done. He's dead at that point.
He put me up to it.
This is easily Charlie Day's award. I think there's something to be said for Jennifer Aniston because
that's what I was going to say too. Jennifer Aniston was a close second for me as well because she is completely just outrageous in this.
Yes.
Give me a Jennifer Aniston boss once in my life, please.
So Tim actually hit it in the head. I think it's like the 3rd or 4th comment where he says this is the hottest she's ever been, and I have to agree 1,000%. I can't recall her being any hotter in any other movie.
There's another line for that's another line when she's sitting with the dentist jacket. Can you see my pussy?
No. Yeah, no. And that right there is completely inappropriate.
It's probably illegal.
You know what's some of the funniest lines? When Jason Sudeikis is talking about scouting Jennifer Aniston, and he's like, she just, she got a hot dog, and then she ate a banana, and a popsicle, and a banana. He's like, 3 order. Like this.
In that order.
In that order, yeah. It's not a coincidence. And so Charlie Day goes, so you took the food as an invitation to fuck her? He's like, no, I took an invitation to fuck her as an invitation to fuck her. That's what
Well, and Jackie talks about Shia LaBeouf. I started watching the first few minutes, but I couldn't.
Shia episode's incredible.
Is it? Okay.
Saw the Paul Rudd episode.
Paul Rudd is awesome.
Of course you did. No shit. You've watched everything Paul Rudd's ever been in, like commercials and this and that. Nothing wrong at all.
Have you seen Clueless?
Yes.
You're asking me? Oh, of course I have. Yeah.
I know you have.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
The youngin over here.
Yeah, exactly. Have you seen
Mister, I was 13 when this movie came out. Asshole.
No, Clueless. He wasn't even born when Clueless came out. Dick.
I have to make you guys feel old every single episode. That's just how it works.
Tim, I want to try that Russian sauce. Take the skin off your lips. I want to try it. Okay, I need the name of it now.
Jesus Christ.
All right, let's move on.
How does it taste good, man? I don't know. If it tastes good, I'm down. If it doesn't taste good,
Yeah, I'm with you.
So, all right, what happened? What happened, Kyle? What are we doing next?
Hold on. Oh, I lost you guys. All right, I'm back. So yeah, next category is interesting details. We kind of hit on it real quick. Like you said, Colin Farrell had heavy influence on his character's look, including the belly, the hair, the apartment, and his obsession with Chinese dragons. I always thought it was funny when he had the cell phone and that dragons, and then the ringtone is Kung Fu Fighting. And then that also brings me to Colin Farrell. For the cocaine, they used crushed lactose, and in between takes, he would snort it just to stay in character.
That's amazing. That's dedication, baby.
It's great. That's why I love Colin Farrell in this, because he's not in the movie a lot, but when he is, he's crushing it.
No, he's great. And the last thing he ever hears is Kung Fu Fighting.
Yes.
Yeah. Right before he gets shot. That's it. Boom. He's like, yeah. Boom.
I didn't have any other interesting details. Whenever I go through these lists, they always, say a bunch of things. Oh, this actor was connected with this actor in this movie, and yada yada yada. There's not too much in this, but just actually, I think this might be a good spot to talk about Horrible Bosses too, real quick. What do you guys take on that movie? Is to me, I think it's just as funny as this film. I don't think
it's as good as first. It's still a good film. I was actually talking about it. I'm like, had part one not existed, part two would have been like way funnier for me, I feel. I do like part two. I mean, if we're not gonna talk into detail, but Chris Pine for me is the one that steals that movie for me. He was so good in that.
And Spacey was good in his couple of scenes in there too from jail.
Yes.
Yeah. You're the Spacey guy, and he's the Paul Rudd guy over here. Because this guy
just really different things. I love in the second movie how that movie opens with the shower buddy, and they used to call it the shower daddy.
Nick, Kurt, and Dale. I promise I'm not hearing that right. I agree, Kyle. I agree with you on that. Not a lot of people have that opinion, but I think it is just as funny. Bateman is fantastic when you're right on the board with Sharpie, and he goes to a race and he's like, "Oh, look what we have here, I'm a Sharpie, huh? Yep, this is a prime kidnapping. It's just
kidnapping."
And the best outtake from both movies is in the second one. I don't know if you saw the outtakes in the second one, but they're crawling towards, or they're hiding in the bushes by the door, and Bateman's like, "What's that smell?" Sudeikis is like, "Thinks you're acting." And Bateman was completely caught off guard. He just busts out laughing giggling like a little girl, and it is great.
Oh my god!
It's a really funny movie, and I kind of want to revisit it now, just after talking about it.
I'll probably do that.
Jamie Foxx being their getaway driver at the end of it.
Facts. He was the best part of Wonder Woman, so I can even agree with you. He was the best part of Wonder Woman. Mm-hmm. He was awesome.
Okay, guys, so let's move on to our final two categories. Apex Mountain. I think there is actually some contenders for this. Cannot compare it to what we did last week. What did we do last week again, Jader? I completely forgot at this point.
Dude, I just show up, man. I don't know.
Last week?
The night before.
We did night before, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and no one qualified for it. Even though it's a great movie, no one really qualified for Apex Mountain. But I think this week there's a lot of options. Jader, I went through it to you. Who was your pick for this? Or picks? I think there's people that we could. All right, let's just throw it out there for general discussion then. Charlie Day. I know if we're not including TV, we're not
movies only.
Yeah.
Movies only. Yes, this is his best role. Okay, because I was like, there's no way it's gonna top It's Always Sunny for me, right? Because I absolutely love that show. It's not Bateman's best work, so we can take that right out.
I think Sudeikis might qualify. What's his best movie?
All right, so comedy wise, I want to say it's on par with We're the Millers.
Right? Yeah, dude, that's up there, man. Where Are the Millers is really fucking funny, dude. And the Angry Birds movie.
Which, Jennifer Aniston and Jason Sudeikis were both in this movie and in We're the Millers. There's a connection right there. So one of the stupidest things I saw when I was scrolling through was Charlie Day plays Angry Birds in the car when he's sitting in the car, and Jason Sudeikis went on to be the voice of Angry Birds. Yeah. One of those stupid connections. One of the great ones was actually, this is a scene I want to talk about. When they have the car that speaks to them, and his name is Atmanad, and they're like, "Oh, his name is Gregory," and they're like, "What's your name?"
Gregory? I'm going to call you Gregory because that name's a fucking nightmare. Yeah. And so that's if you're a Seinfeld fan, that's another little cameo that I just found out today. But just looking up, it's Abu from Seinfeld that comes over to Pakistan. I had no idea.
Yeah, dude. No. He's in. He's in. He's in Seinfeld. He's in something else, dude. What the fuck was he in?
I thought he was in a few other things, but I can't picture it. All I see is him on the witness stand going like this. You're bad man. You very bad man.
Very, very bad man.
If we talk about other people, it's not Kevin Spacey, obviously. It's not Colin Farrell, obviously. I think Jennifer Aniston, if we talk about movie career, this could be considered because a lot of people like talking about her in this film because she is really good in this one. She's very memorable. She steals every scene she's in. I think she could be considered. Obviously, Friends, if we're going with the whole career, Friends is her apex. No.
Yeah, it forever be her apex.
Yeah. I have a little guilty pleasure of hers, and that's the breakup. I'm sorry. I apologize for it.
Breakup, I don't know. That breakup, let me tell you, man.
A lot of people shit on that movie, and I thought it was pretty cool. I love Vince Vaughn.
The best line is from Vince Vaughn in that film, where he's like talking about his sister, and then she's like, "You don't talk about my sister. She's been through a lot." And he goes, "A dick."
The whole offensive line.
So good, dude. But and then when he gets like backstabbed by his friends, like Band of Brothers, you should watch it sometime. Fucking great, dude. I like the breakup too, man. I don't say that, but the breakup is nowhere near as good as Horrible Bosses. So you know what? How I hit the nail on the head with that, to be honest with you, because there's nothing else for me. I know I have Jackie was on the chat, but Just Go With It is probably gonna be her favorite because she watches that movie all the fucking time. But just no.
I think Seth Gordon can qualify for his directing career because I don't know if you guys saw his IMDb. It's not great. It's really not great. But.
Yeah, it's some failed comedies. Thankfully, this wasn't.
It's weird, right? Like he has a bunch of bad movies and then Horrible Bosses and then nothing else. And he didn't come back to direct Horrible Bosses 2 either, which is surprising.
What do you guys have as Bateman's apex? If I'm not saying this is it, but by no stretch of the imagination. What do you guys think?
If we're including shows or we're not including shows?
Just movies.
Just movies. Bateman.
That's a great question. Because I don't think he's had this is like the best performance he's ever done type of movie.
I like Game Night a lot. Game Night is fantastic. I really loved
Juno.
The Gift.
The Gift I loved. So that shows the absolutely just tremendous range because he kills it in comedies. He does a great job in that, and then when you go to TV, he does the same thing. In TV, he kills it in comedy and kills it in the dramatics also. So this guy's great.
I don't know if you guys saw. Did you ever see that movie with Jennifer Aniston and him called The Switch?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's trying to get pregnant.
Was it?
He's in The Kingdom, and I always forget that Jason Bateman's in The Kingdom. Did you ever see with Jamie Foxx? It's like a war movie. Kidnap Bateman.
Oh yeah, no, I remember the movie. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. He's the one that they kidnap actually, or I think he's the one that they take. It's Jennifer Garner, Jamie Foxx. So he's in that. He's awesome in Extract. Fucking love Extract.
Yeah, actually, somebody mentioned Extract in the chat a little while ago.
Oh, did they?
I thought I saw somebody. Gotta be. I'm not. I haven't had that much to drink.
You know where he's a sharpshooter. I loved him in Dodgeball.
He's an announcer.
Yeah,
he's an announcer. Great.
Yeah, that's a sharpshooter right there for me in Dodgeball. But yeah, he's done a lot, man. But for me, if I'm gonna give him like Apex, this is probably a close second. If we're not including TV, because obviously Ozark for me is just like his shit.
Arrested Development. He just did The Outsider. Like he's like
I haven't seen The Outsider.
His primary thing.
I want to watch The Outsider. I haven't seen it yet. But I got to go with The Gift if we're only going to do but yeah, recently it's going to be The Gift, Game Night, and this, because again, he's just climbing on top, man. He's only going to get better from me, But yeah, he was in Smoking Aces. That's another one. Smoking Aces is dope as fuck too. So that's why I wouldn't go with him.
I'm not a big Office Christmas Party guy. I don't think that movie's too good.
It's one that I wanted to see at the you want to see whatnot, and then it just time goes on, but then you don't watch it, and then you eventually watch it, and you're like,
I never
was
saw
anticipation for nothing.
It's not. I think he's great and Up in the Air as the boss, George Clooney's boss.
George Clooney's boss.
Yeah, I think he's good in that. I like The Switch. I think him and Ryan Reynolds are funny in that. Ryan Reynolds. Movie.
The Change Up.
Oh yeah, the Change Up.
Switch was
the Switch was Jennifer Aniston.
It's not the same thing.
So I will tell you one thing, and this is why I'm a bad father. My son, when he was 6 or 7, watched Game Night with me.
Hey, you gotta learn eventually.
I feel like I'm a bad father for that.
My son actually got pissed that his mom picked him up a little early because he wanted to make the movie. I thought it was so funny. So my mom didn't care. I'm like, there's certain things that I won't let him watch, but this movie, and then a lot of like the sexual innuendos, he's not really getting. So yeah, you're good. Part. Yeah, I'm like, you're good to go.
All right, guys. Last category then. Who won the movie? I think this is a tough category this time. There's a lot of people who's like, to me, like, oh, this person steals the movie. This person steals the movie. Everybody's great in this thing. Everyone's super funny. So I'm curious as to who you went with. Steve, I'm going to go with you first. You're a guest. Who won this movie?
I'm going with my boy just because he's my boy, because it's everything's so like even keeled here, and I'm going with Bateman. I can't go any other way because like we said at the start, his timing is perfect in everything that he does, and it includes this one, and just the the emotion, his daydreaming when he doesn't get the job and he tosses Harkin out the fucking window, and it just gam, all the little one-liners. I've got to go with him. Could have gone with anybody. I could have gone with a couple other people, but that's my boy. Maybe I would rather beat him than Meghan Markle. I don't know. No homo.
You know what? I'm with you on that. If I never meet Meghan Markle, the rest of my life, I'm good. But Jason Bateman, that'd be amazing. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. But I actually
wait, hold on. This is a definite word. I think Timmy just won the comments.
He just won the comments. He just won this episode. Is what he did without being a guest, man.
This is a good point. Look at this is a very good point. Bateman never seems like he's acting in anything. It's always so like genuine, and
there were some intense scenes in Ozark, bro, where I was like, that's some good acting, bro. This is the reason why I didn't go with Colin Farrell on Sharpshooter, because I feel like he did win the film. This is the category I gave it to him. He crushes. There's not one, and again, it was a hard category because I had Farrell, and I didn't want to give it to any of the big three that we had, the main three. I had Aniston and Farrell, but I ended up ultimately writing Farrell on my paper because everything from the character work that he did, obviously the way that he looked obviously completely different from everybody else in the movie. The opening scene with the whole PP thing, that shit killed me today. The trimming the fat scene, everything about his character is the way he was just such a fucking prick. The way he just backstabs it right away, where he's like, either 3 people are gonna get fired or 1 person's gonna get fired today. He does what he's told to do, and then he's like, I just got word that this guy fired, the Professor Xavier or whatever.
Yes.
You're like, what a fucking prick, man. He just, the title is called Horrible Bosses, and I feel like, again, everybody did, but I feel like he just took it to that level. And I feel like he pretty much outshined everybody that he was on the scene with. So that's my choice.
It's tough for me because I was really close to giving it to.
Sorry, it was Phone Booth.
I love
that. Was the name of the. No, he said, what was the name of the movie? It was Phone Booth.
Oh, okay. I thought he said, what was that movie, Phone Booth, back in the day? Oh, my bad. Yeah. I love that movie. It's one of those wham bams, 88-minute movies, very quick. But I thought it was awesome. So good shit.
See, for me, I'm really close. I was really close to giving it to Kevin Spacey because I think his scenes are all great. And then him being the big villain towards the end when he's, choking on the side of the road and they have to, they stab him with the peanut thing. That's funny.
Don't not give it to him for that reason. Don't you do it. Separate.
No, because you know what? I think I go Jason Sudeikis because his lines are the ones I kind of go back to the most when it comes to these things. Bend her over a barrel and show her to 50 states. It's just like a classic line to me at this point because it feels like that's just improv. He's just making it up on the spot. You know what? That's just stupid enough to give it. I give it to Spacey. I know Spacey's really tough. It's really tough to give it to Spacey.
Why?
Spacey.
No, I'm going for
things you'll never heard chanted in 2021. Spacey.
Dude, I'm sorry, man. Yeah, I don't know. That's a great choice.
I think it's Sudeikis, man. I really do think it's him. What's his name?
I don't think you think that. I think you want it to be him because you don't want to be that guy.
You're not jumping all over this joke right here.
I'm not doing
Tim
that.
said I'd give it to Spacey, and
RD
says you're too old for him. Come on, man. Gold, baby.
Okay, guys. All right, I want to ask you a question before we get out of here. Who's your favorite out of the 3 main people and your favorite out of the 3 bosses? Like, how would you rank them from this film?
Like top to character-wise or just like
character-wise? Who's the best character out of the big 3 and who's the best character out of the bosses? How would you rank all 3 of them?
Best character is for me out of the main 3. I can resonate more with Jason's character, with Jason Sudeikis' character. I like him.
He can't say it. You can't do it.
I can't.
Just say Jason S.
Jason S, bro. Olivia's ex, bro.
Oh God, that hurts.
Oh,
yeah, that one sucked.
Man,
I feel so bad for him, man. He's still like there, like we're gonna work this shit out. I'm like, God damn, dude, this sucks.
Especially seeing him in Ted Lasso now, just how great of a person he is in that, and you're like, damn, Olivia, why would you leave him?
for a douche. So I go with Jason S. And boss wise, I would go with Spacey, hands down. He's the shit at being like a fucking prick.
He's really good at it. And I think for me, I'd go, it's tough because like Charlie Day steals all his scenes he's in too. And it feels like he maybe should win this movie too. I don't know. Everybody's really great in this.
One scene that we overlooked a little bit was when Sudeikis is driving and Day punches him. Never punches driver, and he just jumps into the back seat. Bateman super calmly. Is this after the cocaine?
No, yeah, and he goes, "I need your brakes. I
need your foot for the brake. Oh shit, the brake. And as he's coming back into the front, never punch the driver. Never.
You know what we're talking about is the ending when Kevin Spacey's chasing them and Charlie Day's on the phone talking to Jennifer Aniston. He's like, and I'm going to jump up and down in your boobies and I'm going to dance on your butt.
And it's all recorded. And that's what they listen to.
And then he hangs up the phone. He goes, "You fucked the crazy out of her, right?" He goes, "I should have danced on her boobies, maybe." Oh,
but I think we've covered every single scene in this film at this point, right?
So good. It's so good, dude.
It's really good. So Guys, I think any final thoughts on Horrible Bosses before we get out of here?
No,
It's fucking awesome.
you know,
It's instant classic in my opinion. It's one of those films.
It's definitely a classic, Jader.
Yeah.
You're spot on there. Like Kyle, you said they closed everything up. They it was nice, neat, and tidy. Yet they obviously were able to leave it open for a part 2, which for me it was on par with part 1. You could do a whole nother show on that in 3 years on the 10th anniversary of that. But when they're in the car and they're hauling ass, and it was like, no, we got to wait for the cops, and they're just chilling, and Jamie Foxx is chewing his gum, and Bateman's just looking at him. I busted out laughing in the screening. Nobody said a word. Bateman just looked at him, and I lost it.
Let me tell you, man. I felt like I was one of the ones that laughed the hardest in that screener too. Like I was like, man, this was pretty good. Again, it ended, and I'm like, it's a solid sequel. For me, it wasn't as funny as the first because I belly out laughed with the first one. But I'm like, but it did its fucking job. It didn't suck completely compared to other sequels. It was on. I'm like, you can say it kept up. I'm like, it's a solid view, and a lot of people didn't feel that way. They really didn't like it. I don't know what they were expecting or anything like that, but I thought it was fucking great.
What was it? What was this one on Rotten Tomatoes?
Which one? The first one?
The first.
I think it's like 70%.
69 giggity. It's got to be.
Yeah. There you go.
I love that scene in the second one where Jason Bateman somehow ends up in the sex meeting with Jennifer Aniston, and he has to talk about his time at the Boy Scouts, and he's like, two guys at once.
What did Horrible Bosses 2? Oh shit! Horrible Bosses 2 got a 35% and a 47%.
That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
Wow, dude, it wasn't that bad. Jesus,
it wasn't bad at all.
And that right there, and I'll say it here. That right there is the reason why I started websites like this. It's because critics shit on these type of movies that just make me happy. They make us happy, right? But they shit on it for whatever reason, and then you go through the reviews, and they're like, "Oh, this part," and don't fucking nitpick. Just enjoy the fucking movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, Powerful Bosses 2 has almost the same rating as Dumb and Dumber 2.
And we're nowhere near.
And it's night and day.
Nowhere near as bad, man. Nowhere near as bad.
The bore fests that are the King's Speech are nominated for everything, right?
I know why he's laughing. What movie were we going to cover this fucking week?
Oh, you were going to do that?
We were going to cover a political drama.
Oh, okay.
And I like, we're gonna be very transparent. We don't want to be that show because you know how the comment sections have been getting lately with fucking politicals and politics and all that shit. And the first thing I told them when the Capitol building thing happened, and the impeachment and everything's been happening, and I tell them I don't want to be that show where we're gonna talk about politics, because as soon as one of the reasons why I honestly was gonna actually follow Kyle on the social media break was that as soon as I turned it on, man, it was just like friends that I've known for years are like, if you agree with Donald Trump, fuck you, and then vice versa. If you don't agree with the man that
who would say such a thing like that?
No. But I'm just saying, like, we had and you had the vice versa, where it was like, if you don't agree with the man that's trying to give you $2,000 and is actually for the American people, then fuck you too. Like, it's just been going back.
Did you just reveal that Kyle left social media because of me?
Seriously. but
as he's describing that, I'm like, I know Steve put a post like that.
No. But I wasn't. Funny enough, I wasn't even talking about Steve at all. It's just it's been everything, And I told when Kyle was like, with the inauguration happening, we should cover. I'm like, fuck that. I'm like, I don't want to be that show. If we eventually have to cover that movie because X, Y, Z or whatever. Fuck yeah, Tim. We're not talking
there it is.
Marvel shows anymore. I mean, movies anymore. Marvel shows to be continued. Will be coming up soon, but no, we're not covering that movie anymore. Anyways, so we don't want to be that show, and we were going through. I was like, we had sat on it for like a day, And then he hit me up. He's like, "Hey man, what movie do you want to cover?" I'm like, "Not that. I don't want to be that show. I want people to disconnect from whatever is happening in the world and be like, hey, you know what? I love horrible bosses. Let's see what these guys have to say and chime in and, obviously bring up your comment here and talk. I want to disconnect from all fucking reality when I watch movies. That's the reason why I started watching movies, to disconnect from everything,
It's the right thing. It's the right thing to do. No matter what anybody thinks, that's another reason why I started in this whole thing, because movies and music and sports, these are avenues to escape this kind of stuff. So yeah, you might be into all this stuff, but last week the Capitol thing, there was some talk. A couple of people said maybe we shouldn't do shows this week, and I'm like, no. We're going to do shows. This is why I started this, to take people's mind off of more serious things. And, I made a little statement, we're not tone deaf on this show. We know what's going on, but we're still here to entertain the masses, baby. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, man. So yeah, man. Just so you guys know, that's the reason why we don't really talk what's going on. Exactly what Steve just said. We're not tone deaf. We know what's going on. We just want to stay away from that.
When the Black Lives Matter protests and all that started, we covered "Do the Right Thing" with Janine. We are aware of everything that's going on. When Chadwick Boseman passed away, we covered his whole career on here. We are aware of what's going on, but there's other ways to do it without fighting. And we could do a funny movie that has to do with politics one day, something like that. But we're not going to hit you over the head with who's right, who's wrong, whatever it may be. Come here for an escape, guys, and we're always going to be here to entertain you no matter what. So that's going to do it for episode 34 of the Jader and Kyle Show. Steve, please plug everything that is going on at Pop Culture Pros. What do you want them to know about?
Ton of shit going on. Popculturepros.com. You see all the scroller at the bottom with all the different social media links that Kyle's not following anymore. All the latest reviews, all the latest, predictions for, we have the NBA predictions. We've got the NFL predictions going on. We have just a ton of shows. The Empire 161 show, which is taking a little bit of hiatus right now. They cover the Yankees. They cover Mandalorian. Both are on hiatus right now, so just makes sense. That's with Timmy and Ed. The A to Z program has emerged on the Pop Culture Pros Network. That's Mr. Eric Zant from Deposit, New York. So he goes on. He entertains the masses with his interviews. He's like the Conan O'Brien of Pop Culture Pros. If you didn't see the last episode, that was with Timmy Tabala, Open Book Tabala. And actually, in the coming weeks, he's gonna have he's gonna do a special Saturday show. I think not this Saturday, but the following Saturday, with a couple of nurses, and they're gonna talk about the COVID-19 stuff. And then they're going to get into some entertainment stuff. Nardo is scheduled to be on that show on the 25th of January. Why would we watch that, right? The Put in the Book show is still ongoing. The Mets show, it's off season, but it's the first time the Mets have been spenders in forever. So that makes sense. The Just Too Sweet show comes at you on Tuesday nights, as well as typically the Four Quarters show. Wrestling show for the Just Too Sweet show. The Four Quarters show, if you've never watched that, nice, interesting concept. They do 4 quarters, 12 minutes a pop. They do a halftime and an overtime where they go into things that are not sports related. Overtime is usually movies, entertainment related. And we have the We Stomped You Out show, which unfortunately, much to look at the smile. Here comes the smile from Kyle. That has ended for now. We'll come back and do a draft special. What other shows we got going on? We are doing the previews for the NFL playoffs, and next week, I don't even know if you guys know this because you were not watching our show earlier, the NFL preview. But we've got a brand new show that is differs from your show, but it's gonna dive into all things comic book related. And it's going to be starting next Wednesday, actually, and it's going to be called Granny's Peach Tea.
Is Tim a part of this?
Tim is not a part of the regular host. That's Ed Camus, who helps him host the Empire 161 show. So him, and actually we're bringing on a couple of a little bit of new blood onto the.
The reason why I ask is because if Tim is the host and he named that show Grandma's Peach, I know he would have shit on that shit because he hates that.
Mm-hmm. But it's a great name for the show. So that starts next Wednesday. I think it's going to be on at 8:30. And then, of course, anybody listening to this, if you're into video games, if you're into music, we need people to come on and cover that kind of stuff. So always looking for some new blood on this bad boy.
And then Kyle and I hopefully will be reviewing WandaVision apart from this. So
yep,
that'll be coming to you guys soon as well.
Very cool.
I think the first two episodes drop tomorrow, guys. So
first three,
hit it as soon as we can. We're figuring out a time. We'll get doing it regularly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and they'll talk about it as it when they start the show on Wednesday. But Tim was part of this is a reboot podcast, so they'll go into how this came about. Back a few years, and this is a reboot on the best network on the internet right now.
There you go, man.
There you go. Jader, as good as always to see you again, man. Any final words before we get out of here?
I'm gonna watch Horrible Bosses too now, man, and have some more beer.
You have to.
Yeah, I'm going to. Especially and then all the scenes that we mentioned just now. I gotta watch it again. So.
And if you guys out there have seen Horrible Bosses 1 and 2, go on YouTube right now and watch the outtakes. They're some of the best outtakes ever.
Yeah,
it's hilarious.
They really are good.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us again, and we will see you next time on an all-new episode of the Jader and